Hi, boys and girls. This is Miss Sara here with another children's message. I'm so excited to bring this one to you. You know, it seems like the weeks just roll around so fast. Today, in part of our lesson, we're going to be using milk. And I'm sure you're all familiar with milk. But today I'm going to tell you some milk jokes. Now, if you remember, my jokes are not necessarily the best ever, but we'll see what you think of these. Here we go. Number one. What do you call a cow that doesn't give milk? I'll give you a clue. It's a type of candy. A milk dud. Did anybody get that one? I hope so. Number two. What did the mama cow say to the baby cow? It's pasture bedtime. Pasture, as in a field, it's pasture bedtime. I know the older people are laughing at that one. I can feel it. Number three, what do you call a cow that doesn't give milk? Same question, different answer. I didn't realize that. An utter failure. I like the milk dud one better. Where do astronauts stop to get a drink? I bet you can figure this one out if you think about it. Remember, our jokes are about milk. The Milky Way. And finally, I have just a very short story I want to tell you about a friend. A friend of mine told me that he liked to take a bath in milk. He would fill the bathtub up with milk until he was almost totally covered. I said, pasteurized? He said, no, just to my chin. Pasteurized would be up here, but it's also what they do to milk. No, just to my chin. You have to think about that one a little bit. Okay, now we have our fun facts about milk. And I learned something I didn't know before. Do you want me to start with that one? The one I didn't know was that a cow has an excellent sense of smell. They can smell things as far as 6 miles away. That's about halfway to Lindsborg. That's a long way to smell something. Also, one cow produces about 350,000 glasses of milk in their lifetime of giving milk. It's a lot of milk. And cows all over the United States in 1 year produce 21 billion gallons of milk in a year. Now, I figured that out, and that means that each person in Salina, every single kid to adult to grandma to uncle, would each get 428 gallons of milk each year if we just shared it in Salina. Now, where on earth would we put that much milk? We could never use it. Imagine if there's 5 people in your family and each one of you got 428 gallons of milk. 28,000 gallons of milk, how much milk that would be, you'd have to add on to your house. Cows drink about a bathtub full of water every day. I don't drink that much water. And finally, this is my favorite because I like gross things. The liquid in your mouth that moistens your food when you chew and starts your digestive system is called saliva. We usually call it spit. But it's the same thing. Saliva, spit, the same thing. Spit is when you take it out of your mouth. Saliva is when it's in your mouth. When you think about that, a cow produces 125 pounds of spit or saliva a day. 125 pounds. Most of you kids don't weigh 125 pounds. And the cow makes that much spit every day. That's a lot of spit. Okay, now why did we talk about milk? Well, we're going to do a little project with milk, and I have some milk here, and I'm going to pour it into this paper plate. I'm going to do it carefully because I don't want to make a mess. Just going to pour it in. Oh, that should be deep enough. I'll give it a little bit more. That should be deep enough. Now, that in itself is not very exciting, is it? Just looks like a plate of milk. We need about 3 little kitties to come over here and lap it up. But I'm going to start a day with you using the milk as part of the story. And I want you to stick with me. And I think you'll see what I'm trying to teach you with the milk. Let's suppose that one day you pull up to school and your mom lets you out and you get out with your things, and then you see another kid. And the kid has their backpack, their instrument, their lunchbox, a folder full of stuff, and a big box that's a science project. They're loaded. They walk up to the door struggling to hold on to everything, and what do? They can't open the door. So you run up behind them and you say, "Just a minute, I'll get the door for you." That's an act of kindness. And that's an act that will make that person feel good about themselves. So let's drop your act of kindness into the milk. Opening the door for someone. There it goes. Oop, there it goes. Now, when God sees you do that, he's happy. And so he smiles down on that act of kindness. So we're going to add God's smile now to the act of kindness. Here we go. There's God's. Oh my goodness, look what God's smile does to the act of kindness. Is that amazing? It spreads the feeling of kindness all over. Okay, so now the little boy that you helped to get in the door later on sees a teacher or a kid in the hallway, and the kid drops a whole bunch of papers. Now, first of all, that's embarrassing if you're in the hallway of school. Second of all, it's a pain to pick up. So the little boy who had the door opened for him stops, gets down on his knees, and helps pick up all the papers. That's the second act of kindness. The little boy who got the door open for him now does an act of kindness for the kid who dropped his papers. Let's see what happens when we do a second act of kindness. There it is. Now again, God's happy with us. So he smiles down, and look how it spreads. So the little boy who had his papers picked up is feeling really good. And so he goes outside to play, and he sees a kid that fell down and hurt her knee. He runs over and he says, "Here, let me help you get to your teacher." And he puts his arm around her and he helps her hop over to see the teacher. That makes that little girl feel really good because that was an act of kindness that that little boy did. This is his act of kindness. Again, God smiles down onto the act of kindness, and there we go. And it starts to spread. It didn't spread very good. There we go. So now we've had 3 acts of kindness, and the little boy that got a little girl that got her knee fixed up goes back out on the playground, and guess what she sees? She sees a kid playing all by themselves. No one wants to play with them. And she says, "Well, gosh, that kid that helped me when I scraped my knee was really nice. Maybe I should be nice to the kid that no one plays with." So she goes over and she says, "Hey, I want to play with you." And there's the next act of kindness. I'm going to put it right there. And again, God sees the act of kindness, and he's happy, and he smiles down on it. And it starts to spread. You can see they're really spreading all over the place. Look at that. They're touching each other, spreading the kindness all over. Now we're going to go on, and now the little kid that played alone goes into the cafeteria, and she's feeling great because nobody ever plays with her, and now this other kid did. And so she sees a kid sitting by himself in the lunchroom, and she says, oh, that poor kid, he always has to sit alone. I'll go sit by him. That was her act of kindness. And so this is her act of kindness. And again, what happens? God's very happy. And he smiles down on it. And it's going to spread all over. Look at them all mingling together. And finally, that child who had somebody sit by him has always been a pain in school. I'm sure some of you know kids that have problems being good. Well, the kid that had somebody sit by him is sometimes a pain. And after that child sat by him and made him feel like someone liked him, he said to himself, you know, I think I'll go back to my class this afternoon, and I'm not going to be a pain at all. I'm going to be nice to my teacher and give her a nice afternoon. So that was his kind act. We'll add it over here. Let's see. There we go. And again, God saw the kind act. And he said, that makes me happy. And he gave it a happy smile. And then we move on. And the teacher can't believe what a wonderful afternoon she had. She's in a state of shock. And so she says to another teacher, I know that you're feeling sad about what happened to you. How about if we go out for coffee and talk about it? That teacher was thrilled. That was her act of kindness. We'll add another drop over here. There it goes. Again, God smiles down on it. Now, the teacher that was asked out for coffee, felt really good that someone cared enough about her to talk to her about her problems. And so she goes home from her job and from the coffee shop, and her kids are there, and she fixes supper, and guess what? After supper, she's feeling so good that she says to the kids, let's go out for ice cream. And that's her happy kindness act. There it goes. So now, from one simple, here's God smiling down on her, from one simple act, we've had 8 different acts of kindness. And see how they all go together and they make really a pretty happy color, which makes our world a much happier place. If I spin this a little bit without spilling it, you can see how the colors come together, and it's a beautiful rainbow-like thing that shows everyone's happy. So remember, it started with one act of kindness. The little boy opened the door for the little girl. And from that, we ended up with 8 sharings of kindness. So the lesson is, be kind, and don't be afraid to share your kindness with others. Pay it forward or pay it back. If someone does something nice for you, you need to do something nice for someone else. And even if they don't, you need to do something nice for someone else. This is a quote I found. To the world, you may be one person, but to one person, you may be the world. So in other words, in the whole world, you might not be a very famous, important person, but to one person that you've helped, you might be the whole world to that person. If one person can go out of their way to show kindness, then it will start a chain reaction, and there it is. People never know how far a little kindness will go. Look at this one, isn't that cool? If we leave it sit a little bit, it'll turn even cooler, but I think it's very impressive. Now, if you want to do this at home, you can. All you need is a plate and some whole milk or 2% milk, some food coloring, and some dish soap. So if you would like to try it at home, go ahead and give it a chance. Dial soap works excellent. Okay? Let's say our prayer. Boys and girls, we have seen how one act of kindness multiplies into many, many, many acts of kindness. Our goal in life should be to make everyone feel like they are valued and important. Help us through our actions to send that message. No matter how small the act of kindness is, it can have a big effect on the person who receives it. Amen.